How's it, everyone? Hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to How's It Cousins, the podcast where we take a look at the unique people of the world and the interesting things that they do. We talk about them, we relate to them, and hopefully we can relate them to you. On today's show, in light of the relatively recent release of the movie everyone's been waiting for, I'm sure, since Justice League.
Yes.
You're right. I'm talking about Aquaman. We're going to be highlighting the link to Hawaii, as we may call it, our own Jason Momoa.
How's it, Chris? Are you talking about Jason Momoa? Yo, I'm down to talk about Jason Momoa. Let's do this.
Aloha, Alvin. Thanks for jumping in to the Jason Momoa podcast.
Yeah, man. I'm always down to talk to you. You know, it's always fun. Let's do it.
All right. I want to remind all our listeners that we are part of the Hawaiian Network. If you like what you're hearing, you can check out more of our episodes on all the popular podcast services, iTunes, Google Play, all of the like. If you want to see more of us, then you can go to houseandnetwork.com, see more of what we're doing. Alvin, you got anything you want to plug?
Yes, my name is Aloha Alvin, and you can find more of me at alohaan.com.
All right. So, Jason Momoa, born in Hawaii. He is part native Hawaiian, which is more than a lot of the people that live in Hawaii can say.
True.
I will point out that most recently, he's Aquaman and debuting in his own movie, Aquaman.
Yes.
Which I haven't seen yet, but could be good. Seems like it could be kind of fun. More interesting. Okay, no, go ahead.
Real quick, I will say this. On that note, people dump on the DC movies. Having said that, I'm not one of those guys. I enjoy them. I think it's not fair to crap on a movie that hasn't even been seen yet. You know, like the upcoming movie is bad. Like, dude, how do you know that? Unless you can see the future, it's ridiculous. But anyway, I enjoyed him as Aquaman. It was fun. You know, I liked all that stuff. I'm looking forward to it. So.
True statement. I must say that, okay, so I'm going to dump on a DC movie that I did see, and that was Justice League. It was okay. You know, they had hoped that it was going to be the culmination like the Avengers was of all those characters. But of that movie, Jason Momoa's Aquaman was actually pretty good, I must say.
Yes, I agree. If he was on screen, I was having fun. I enjoyed the Aquaman on the Batmobile thing. That was just a great moment. You know, I felt the energy. It was awesome. Yeah.
So, to celebrate his Aquaman movie debut, apparently Jason Momoa, as well as some of the other cast members, as they walked the red carpet to the Aquaman premiere, they performed what's called the haka, which is a Maori war dance. So some of the cast members are Maori, and for those of our listeners who are not acquainted to, that refers to New Zealand. They're from New Zealand and the culture of New Zealand. And the haka has been forever popular in a lot of sports cultures in recent years, despite being a traditional type dance, just because of the intensity and because of the warlike chants that it does. It's very testosterone filled, as we may say, but it's very powerful, and you do get pretty hype as they perform it. What's cool is that something that celebrities don't normally do on the red carpet. You know, normally as you're going to a premiere, you walk through, you smile with the camera, you take pictures and things like that. But obviously these guys had this plan, like rehearsed.
Yeah.
They knew they were going to do this. And even his kids were in the dance line, like doing it with them. And it was a good amount of people. So that was really, really cool. I think that it's cool to display the culture. And even though the Aquaman movie is not about New Zealand per se, as far as I understand, maybe it is. I don't think so. I don't think so. I doubt it, right?
Either, but I'm not sure.
But it does give a, we'll say, intro to like a get hype moment for the movie. Like, and I think that's super cool. It's sharing the culture, but still like getting the excitement going.
All right, Chris, I gotta say this. So, we've talked about various things before, and I talk about the engine. And what I mean by that is like the whole how do you make something famous? How do you get people to be aware of it? That whole thing. So this is absolutely a component of someone's engine. And having said that, it's not offensive. It's not stupid. It's just cool and you just enjoy it. Just hearing about it, I thought it was cool. Then I saw it and I'm like, oh, look, little kids. I'm like, oh shit, Jason Momoa. Because I saw it before I realized what I was watching. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. All those things, we talk about it now. I mean, okay, so obviously I live in Hawaii. And whenever Jason Momoa does anything, we cover it. So, but I believe this is getting press outside of Hawaii. But anyway, yeah, like you get the news outlets talking about you without being dumb. I love that.
I will say that there is some offense that can be had. There's some. Well, just because the haka, and at least apparently from what I read on various sources, I can't remember which one, but the haka is from New Zealand, right? It originates in New Zealand. Jason Momoa is Hawaiian, and those are two different places.
Yes.
Right? So there are critics who are like, well, why didn't they do like a male hula, which is a Hawaiian dance?
Okay.
But
okay.
I think a hula would not have done the same type of justice that the haka did in that moment. That's not the emotion that they're trying to convey. Not that the hula doesn't have strong elements, but I don't think it has as much of the hype, like the intense, like physical hype that they're trying to get out of that. I mean, we live in Hawaii, right? So we have a melting pot here of the Pacific Islander culture just because of the central, well, I wouldn't say central, but because, we're in the United States, first off. So a lot of people that have been migrating here to, get to the United States or get to Hawaii, period, they come from the various Pacific Islands. So we are used to having splashes of like Samoan culture, Tahitian culture, and Maori culture here. So any of that, we tend to gravitate toward. Like you say, Jason Momoa does something, he's Hawaiian. He actually, as I found out, did not grow up here that much. He was born here. His dad's Hawaiian, native Hawaiian, but he didn't grow up here, which is cool, right? But he has strong ties to here. But even though it's covering him and they're doing a Maori dance, like it's still... like you said, you're still like, wow, that's cool. It's something I can relate to just because that culture is still relatable here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to throw this at you. And I forgot where I got it. I thought it was a history textbook. So if you can confirm or not, by all means. So this was from someone on like a documentary, I guess. And he posed the question, when you see a haka, how come you see the guys sticking their tongues out? And I'm like, oh, interesting. I never actually thought about it. And you do see that. And the explanation was given that means I'm going to kill you. I'm going to eat you. And then I will shit you out. And I'm like, wow, I don't know how true that, I mean, I'm using my terminology, obviously, but I don't know how true that is. And if it is, that's a crazy concept, man. Like if you were to war dance and intimidate someone else, turning the other guy into poo is actually quite intimidating when you really think about it.
However, to the world, no, I actually have. It sounds very familiar.
Have you heard that?
Now, to the world, we must educate that when you grow up in Hawaii, part of your curriculum in school, in fact, is Hawaiian history, and as a branch of that, you get Pacific Island culture and things like that, just kind of mixed in, right? So you do learn about those various cultural norms or things that happen throughout. So I wouldn't be surprised if we heard something like that in school. Maybe not to that gruesome level, but something like that is definitely possible to have came up.
Yes. When I play Smash Brothers and Yoshi eats me and turns me into an egg, I ask my,
do you think he's
my brain is like, man,
as intimidation?
Cool?
Dude, okay. Wait, stop. Can you imagine the tribe of colorful Yoshis doing a makeshift haka, tongue out, everything? That would be awesome, actually, if you think about it.
Yes.
Nintendo of America, listen to our podcast and heed my call.
Okay.
Yoshis, an entire tribe doing the haka, tongue and everything. Let it happen.
Okay. I will say this. So I think my first exposure to it, I guess, in person, was at a UH game. So that was a thing I recall, and this was a while back, but I don't know how often it is now. but the UH players prior to the game, they would do a haka. Okay, so my question to you is, okay, I have multiple things on this, but my question to you is, do you know how common or uncommon that is right now? Football is about to start a game. Do we see a haka? Do we not? Do you know anything about that?
So I don't go to as many UH games as I used to years ago. I went to one this past year, and I don't recall seeing a haka.
Okay.
I remember during the really popular heyday when UH was really, really good. I mean, they're good this year, actually, as opposed to like the last number of years.
Sure.
But when UH was really good, like when they went to the Sugar Bowl back about 10 years ago, that was when them doing the haka every game was like a big thing. In fact, they got PC with it because they started doing the haka. I think it was like in the early 2000s, 2005, 6, something like that, right?
Okay.
They started doing it, and it was like a big thing to do it before the game. The entire team would, in the end zone or on the sideline, they'd be doing the haka as kind of a pump up, thing.
Yes.
And there was a professor, if I remember correctly, at the school that said, "Hey, you might be copywriting the New Zealand All Black, the rugby team, the All Blacks." Because the haka is actually commonly done still, not necessarily for football here or even at other schools, but in New Zealand or from New Zealand-based teams, it's still done. Which makes sense. Sense. But anyway, so Hawaii actually developed a different type of chant. They didn't chant in Maori anymore. They chanted in Hawaiian, and they changed the dance moves ever so slightly, and they called it the ha'a as opposed to the haka.
Oh, interesting.
So it was an adaptation of the haka that we did here. Now, I don't think someone can correct me on Twitter or somewhere else if I'm wrong, but I don't think they do it every game anymore. In fact, it's kind of funny when it was done every game, UH would get penalized once in a while.
Yes. Okay. That's the other thing I was going to bring up. But yes, continue.
So
please.
There was a time, I think the story was they were on the road and they're doing the haka or the ha'a, whatever variation it was. And it was when the other team was either warming up or coming out of the tunnel, or they're on the field.
Sure.
And the referees were out there too. I mean, the game hadn't started yet, but they still did it, right? But University of Hawaii was cited with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty because the ruling was that it was a threatening gesture. And
interesting.
So that at that point, the WAC commissioner made a public statement saying that the rules of the conference do talk about offensive gestures, and because the haka or the ha'a has, gestures such as the tongue sticking out, the thumb across the neck kind of thing, or like strong gestures that could be interpreted as aggressive. And he said that his advice was that I'm not saying don't do the dance because we respect the culture and do the dance, but do it when the other team is in the locker room still. That's what they came out with. That's where they tried to get the middle ground. I think now, if I remember correctly, that they don't do the dance physically. They play it on, at least at home, they play it on the big Jumbotron.
Oh, that seems, I feel like if you were the type to penalize, you'd penalize that as well. So interesting. Okay. I have a question for you that I don't understand or I didn't know. Okay, let's say me and you were on an NFL team. I score a touchdown. I spike. I'm dancing alone. No one has a problem. I'm alone. And I could have sworn there was a year where if I score a touchdown and you're next to me and we start doing, the wave or something together, just by being together, that was
It was a thing. It was a thing.
Because the argument, so that was a thing. So I thought the haka was getting penalized solely because more than one person was doing it.
No, those are two different rules.
So it was like shame on you for rehearsing.
More often than not, the haka is done pre-game. So you're talking about during the game, in which there are specific rules for touchdown celebrations as far as I understand it. The difference is either this year or last year, they repealed those rules so they can do the crazy celebrations now.
I saw someone bowling a ball, quote unquote, and then the pins were the players. And I'm like, whoa, that's really coordinated, man. Well, okay.
So Antonio Brown of the Pittsburgh Steelers was famous for this and getting fined for it. But yes, that was a ruling, and the NFL has since come down on it, and it's not so bad. So if you if you search on YouTube now, touchdown celebrations, there are more now than there were before.
Okay.
And they're pretty fucking cool, let me tell you.
Okay, so on one hand, part of me is like, just play the game, man. God. On the other hand, there was I remember a Simpsons episode where Homer Simpson was dancing, and I guess like a famous football player cameo on the show. He's like, hey man, I want you to create me a dance. And then Homer's whole deal for that episode was creating dances for people during the end zone celebrations. Ridiculous. Like, part of me is like, is there a guy who does that? Because like, I know there are professional dancers who do hire people to choreograph their moves, but okay, anyway.
So I'll relate it a little bit. So a number of years ago, I'd say 8-9 years ago, we had a little inner office challenge to play flag football.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So we, it'd be like one team of people versus another team of people from another office, right? And we're like, okay, we're going to go to this place. We're going to play flag football on this day. And my office, we decided, hey, you know what? Let's get the upper hand. Let's have a practice. Let's actually like make a couple plays.
Yep.
So I will tell you
I
that from experience that it was definitely rehearsed. We did spend a good like chunk of that time where we're like, oh yeah, we'll make a few plays so we can do like tricks and stuff like that. No, and we got to practice our celebrations. So it's a thing.
Okay. Yes, I believe that. Nice. Okay. Okay. So I wanted to say this. So I've actually never been a part of a haka at any time. I've never done one. However, and this is not the same to people who actually know how to dance, but for me, a guy who does not know how to dance, I was at my friend's wedding, and there's that song. It's a famous song. I don't know what it's called, but it has lyrics, quote unquote, like this: hand clap 5 times, and then you hear,
yep,
right, and then turn to the right. That song. Okay, I forgot. Super famous for weddings. Just silly. Okay, so I don't dance. I'm chilling on the side. And then I hear this song, and the guy literally tells you what to do. So I'm like, bruh, I can't screw this up. By the way, I did. Anyway, I can't screw it up. He tells me what to do. So I remember joining in. And for the one, I absolutely screwed up multiple times. But 2, the stuff I did land, man, it was nice. It was so badass. So on one hand, I'm sure the haka, literally a war dance by definition or by description. Like on one hand, yes, to intimidate the other team, but on the other hand, man, doing it, you just bond.
I'm sure
you just bond together, or at least I assume. Yeah, that's cool, especially before a game, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, go! Oh, and everyone's cheering. Like, why wouldn't you cheer together? And so, yeah, I think that's something that's not as mentioned, and I would love it. If I was ever in it, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool, man.
So to bring it back. So yes, the haka, definitely a bonding experience, but definitely, as you said, an expression, and it's almost tribal.
Yes.
What I found out is that Jason Momoa apparently did the haka during his audition for Khal Drogo.
Wicked.
Famously
nice.
Of Game of Thrones. For those of you who don't know, Khal Drogo in the first season of Game of Thrones, I don't even know. Did he last past the first season? Was he in season 2 for a little bit? I forget.
Okay.
I forget when he died. But anyway.
I didn't watch much, but I believe he did not. But I didn't watch much.
I forget if he dies in season 1 or 2, but either way. Sorry, spoiler for something that happened like
oh my God, how dare you!
A number of years ago. Sorry. Okay, anyway. Khal Drogo dies, everybody.
Anyway. Oh, on that note, real quick, I didn't follow the show per se, but you can't not hear about Game of Thrones sometimes. It's just everywhere. And I remember, I guess Khaleesi was going through a bad time or something. And then Khal Drogo's Twitter, it said, hey, keep your head up. I'm still rooting for you or some shit. And I was like, it was really nice. The actor, of course, tweeting the actress, but still awesome. Good stuff.
So it's cool to think that the haka helped him get that role. You can see, though, that the character of Khal Drogo, he leads the Dothraki, which is, tribal. They worship horses. They ride horses. But because of the fierceness and the intensity of the haka and how completely embodies the Dothraki, that would to where the producers were, yes, this guy, he is the guy we want,
Okay, so I didn't watch a lot of Game of Thrones, but my friends or friends of friends were talking about it, and I remember them saying stuff like, "Oh, there's a scene with this and a scene with that," and all I could think was, "I don't know what that is. Whatever, let them have their fun conversation." And then I hear, "Oh yeah, there's that guy who's never lost a battle, and he's like a badass and blah blah blah." I'm like, "Fucking Jason Momoa, isn't it?" Like, and then I learned,
Wait, you knew that already, or you saw him and you're like, oh, it's Jason Momoa?
"Oh no, no, well, okay, so." I heard about him and I've seen some images, but I didn't know who was doing what. A guy who's never lost battles could be Akuma from Street Fighter. It could be anybody.
Yeah.
So all those characters in that show who all carry swords could be the guy who never lost a battle. But in my mind, I'm like, yup, I know who it is. And then, hey, lo and behold, it was him. So great casting. My brain immediately went to that. Awesome stuff.
No, Cal Drogo is a fantastic character, if you ask me. Like, just because he starts out as this super like gruff warrior leader, but then as he has his interactions with Daenerys Targaryen, like it kind of softens a little bit. He learns to humanize.
Hmm.
It's very interesting. It's cool to watch. It's very cool to watch.
Chris, that's okay. So I was reading an article about Mark Ruffalo, and an interesting thing was apparently he was going to quit acting. I didn't know him prior, but he had a following. People I know him, but I didn't know him prior. I kind of just really know him as the Hulk. So anyway, at some point in his life, he said, "Yeah, it's enough, man. I'm not acting anymore." And then I guess someone said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. One more, please. One more role, one more audition. Can you just do that?" And he's like, "Okay, whatever." And then boom, we got Bruce Banner, and I love him as Bruce Banner. Now, the reason why I mentioned that is the number 600 comes to mind, but I don't know if I'm misremembering. So anyway, in the article about him, it says 600 auditions. He failed 599 times or more, and then he got that role, or something like that. The whole point of it was, yo, man, it's hard out there, like everyone wants to be the famous actor, everyone wants to be on the big screen, etc., etc. So then all I could think was, who knows? I would love to ask Jason Momoa that, like legit from day one. Did you just haka every audition? Was that a plan? Was that not a like? Because why not? Right? Like that's a skill set. Why wouldn't you use that? Like I have to assume a singer would be like, by the way, I can sing like real good. If you want me to sing right now, I can sing. So who knows? And honestly, if I were him, I would be like, okay, yeah, why not? I can see this super badass warrior in Game of Thrones doing something like this, so let me just throw it up there. So hey, we win as the audience. We win because we get to see him be a badass. It's awesome.
Well, one, you're highlighting that acting is gruesome. It is. I'm sure there are a ton of aspiring actors and only a few make it out.
Oh wait, Chris, sorry. Please keep your thought in mind, please. I gotta say this is from James Corden. I love the quote, and he goes, "I was not a child actor. I was a child auditioner." And I guess what he means is he didn't get jack for like 18 years plus until he finally got famous. And hey, he's a great show host now, right? But that statement, child auditioner, aka just a lot of auditions and nothing ever panned out. That's rough. Okay, anyway.
So it's interesting you mentioned that. I wonder if, like you were talking about being a child auditioner, I wonder how many parents actually encourage that in their kids. If he self-calls himself that, and this may be an entire topic for a different episode that we may or may not have been brewing previously, but that's separate. Sure. In that, if he calls himself a child auditioner, I assume that means his parents took him to audition. And maybe in the 90s to 2000s type culture, that's a thing to where kids are like, hey, yeah, I want to be in movies, or I want to be like that person who I idolize on TV or in a movie. So parents being supportive as they are, put their kids in theater, just like how little kids play soccer. Maybe some kids just do child theater and do commercials and things like that. I'm sure that exists.
Sure.
And thus they go to all these auditions and maybe they make it, maybe they don't. So it'd be interesting to understand if that's a thing. I mean, I'm sure it's a thing, but how much of a thing that is. And I don't actually know if Jason Momoa is like that. I don't think so.
Well, okay, so there's definitely two ends of this spectrum. There's the child auditioner, but then there's also the yo, man, I'm just a woman that was walking the beach, and then hey, some guy asked me if I wanted to be in a movie. So that exists too. I'm assuming Jason Momoa's in the middle. I don't know if someone just came up to him one day and was like, bruh, I want you to be in my movie. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. As far as I remember, the first role that I seen him on was Baywatch Hawaii, and that's
Oh,
dating myself too as to when that came out. I think it was the late '90s. But
hmm.
when Baywatch came to Hawaii, Jason Momoa, he was probably no older than like 20, 21. He was super young,
Interesting. Sure,
and
sure.
he played a character on that show also named Jason.
Huh.
Maybe that was
Wow.
for ease of whatever. Maybe they
Sure.
just thought he was the perfect specimen, as many people see him now as a specimen, to play a lifeguard character on Baywatch.
Hmm.
And I don't remember it completely well, but I think his character was also a Hawaiian native who was displaced and grew up on the mainland, similar to his own story,
Fascinating.
and who
Hmm.
had returned to Hawaii for whatever reason and
Hmm.
was being re-linked to the culture. I think they played on the whole he's actually Hawaiian so they could bring in more of the Hawaiian culture and link him to that.
Interesting.
But this is a long ass time ago, so don't quote me on it. But I
Okay.
definitely remember seeing him in Baywatch Hawaii.
Well, I will say this. I was watching some movie. I don't remember what it was called, but it's a scary movie. So of course there's people getting killed, there's people who are surviving the bad guy or whatever. And I remember thinking, hey, that's Thor. There's Thor in this movie. This is weird because to me he's just Thor. No offense to all his other roles, but he's just Thor. So anyway, I see Thor on the screen. I'm like, hey, good for him. And of course, this was years ago. And then I had this thought. Clearly, Thor was in that movie. Not Thor yet, but he was in that movie. And then now he's Thor. That's badass, right? And then the next thought is like, I wonder where all the other people are. Who knows? I cannot name Baywatch Hawaii people, but I can spot Jason Momoa. You know,
So what's,
so
what's really funny about that is on Baywatch Hawaii, he was way more pretty boy, clean shaven type
oh,
role. He
fascinating.
didn't look how he does now.
Oh, I assumed. I didn't even know. Oh, interesting.
When I saw Justice League the first time, I'm like, oh, Khal Drogo is fucking Aquaman.
Understandable. We do that. I do that. Definitely.
So what's funny is
Yeah.
going forward, I wonder if he's going to be known more as Khal Drogo or more as Aquaman. My guess is Aquaman.
Yes, I assume, but I'm not sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. Interesting. All right. I read a lot of comics. So there's something I call the crystal test, and I have a friend named Crystal. Anyway, I'm gonna try to make this short, but essentially it's like,
Wait.
okay, yes,
You don't have to answer this question honestly, and
okay,
you may change your answer, but
okay.
is her real name Crystal or is this another name that you made up? And her name is actually like Jennifer or Karen
Okay,
or
her name is actually Ruby Gem.
okay, sure, Ruby Gem's fine too.
Okay, so anyway, a long time ago, I showed her a comic book and I asked her, hey, I want you to name all these different people. She's like, okay, let me try my best. So I showed it to her and she goes, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I'm like, wow, great start. So I want you to go on, name the other people. And she's like, I think this might be Green Lantern. And then she says, Thor. And I'm like, oh, interesting. So as you know from DC, you never in theory have Thor in a comic. It just doesn't work because that's Marvel. You don't normally cross over unless it's a really big deal. So I told her, oh, what you're pointing at is Aquaman. And she's like, oh, really? And you know what? In retrospect, considering the Thor that we have in the movies, long blonde hair, buff dude, beard on the face, totally understandable that she thought, hey, that must be Thor. Now, the reason why I mentioned that is clearly Aquaman in the comics has a certain look to him, aka he looks like Thor in the movies right now, like the blonde guy with the long hair. So clearly they kept the long hair, but they changed other things. In the comics, very much so, he's like, I'm the king. You listen to what I say, I'm the king. But then in the movie, you can tell he's kind of like whatever, I just do whatever. I feel like drinking, so I drink. I feel like helping this guy not drown in the ocean. Like he's a good guy, but he just kind of does his own thing, as opposed to I am a ruler and these are my subjects or whatever. So clearly they made a lot of decisions, and I actually find it really fascinating and I like it. I watch it and I enjoy it. So to me now, it'll also be interesting to see how Aquaman appears in the comics. I believe a long, long time ago, Nick Fury was always white. That's just his whole deal. And then Nick Fury in the movies, black. And now Nick Fury in the comics, also black. My friends told me that apparently for a short period of time, there's an alternate universe Nick Fury does black, but whatever. Anyway, now that he's black in the movies, he's black in the comics. I think it's just easier for kids to understand, and it's just more like consistency for adults too.
I heard there's a bigger link than that. I actually heard that they contacted Samuel L. Jackson and say, "Hey, we want to make you this in the comic," and then that's what it became. Or something like that. I forget which came first, but they're very close to each other. The change, and they're all related to Samuel L. Jackson.
See, now that you phrase it that way, that could be the order. I don't know what the order was, so that's really fascinating.
This is going to be a lookup for later on, but I'm pretty sure they're definitely linked.
Okay, so real quick on this, because you mentioned that and I mentioned that. Crystal test. This is the ultimate crystal test, okay? Like, say I said tall man. Well, that could be anyone, right? Short man, could be anyone. Now, listen to this phrase. The first character that comes to mind, just let it be, right? Bald black man with a goatee and an eye patch. Okay, that's only one guy. In all of history, in all the comics I've read, all the movies I've seen, only one character has that set. Yes.
Maybe.
I can't name anyone.
I can't either, but I'm just saying, like...
I challenged my friend. I'm like, go ahead, man. You read a lot of comics. He's like, bro, there's nobody else. And he told me, you know what's funny, Alvin? I'm like, what's that? Because he was on his phone. I didn't know. He's like, I punched in bald black man, goatee. And there he is. I'm like, yes. So anyway, crystal test means never confusing a character. For instance, when she confused Aquaman for Thor, I'm not dumping on her. She's not a comic book person. Like she is the kind of person comics want to bring in because she kind of knows, but she doesn't know that much. I'm a nerd. I already know all that stuff. See? So crystal test now for Aquaman, I don't know what that's going to be. So that'll be interesting too. I imagine that'll change over time, So
do you think that if she sees the Aquaman movie, she'll be confused?
Oh, no. What I mean is, like the Samuel L. Jackson thing in Marvel, where apparently they contacted him. Like, I wonder if DC is going to make a conscious effort to change the appearance of the character now. Because the guy I know doesn't even have a hand. He has a hook for a hand. That's part of his whole deal. That's the Aquaman I was reading before.
Huh? When was this? Okay, maybe I'm just used to like even like what do they call it? Golden Age or Silver Age Aquaman? Because I don't even remember him with long hair, to be honest.
Oh no, you're right. The orange and the green.
Yeah, orange green Aquaman. Yeah.
Okay, so the guy I know, real quick, he was in a bad spot, and I think all right, Aquaman, I handcuffed you to this thing. Either you save yourself or you save your people. Like, yeah, whatever. You're not a good king. That kind of thing happened with a bad guy, I guess. And he's like, I'm gonna chop off my own hand and I'm gonna save my people because I'm a great king. So the rest of the time, you see him with no hand. He just has a hook.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's all Alvinized, totally. But essentially, what I'm getting at is not the same as what we know, and definitely not orange and green. That was a specific choice as well. See, now that's a good point. In your mind, orange and green, which is totally understandable.
Yep.
I kind of forgot about that. I didn't read much of those.
I didn't necessarily read much of those, but that's what if you said Aquaman, I think of classic Aquaman, blonde, orange, and green.
Yeah. Oh, also mine is blonde, right?
Yeah.
So not blonde anymore. See, so interesting. Huh.
I actually like in the movies to where he kind of brings a very brazen approach to the character. He's drunk half the time. He's making all these really smart ass quips to everybody.
Yes.
I don't believe the comics was like that. I feel like he was more righteous.
Oh, yeah, he was. Oh, here's a great bit of dialogue. Like, great bit. Okay, so there's a scene where Aquaman has to go save something. And then he's like, all right, yo, Justice League on comms. Anyone who can hear me, send me help. I'm going to go deal with this. And then Wonder Woman shows up and he's like, oh, all right, let's go do this. Okay. So they're talking. And then Aquaman says stuff like, all right, princess, I want you to go pick that up or whatever, go fight those guys. I'm going to go fight these guys. And then finally Diana says to him, why do you call me princess? Like, I mean, my name is Diana. Do you want me to call you king? And he's like, yeah. Like, that's so accurate. That sums him up right there. Like, that's his response. Yeah. So yeah, totally different. Like, I'm a king. You better bow down. That's much more his personality than like you would never see him drinking. Not like alcohol in a gruff way, the way you see it in the movies. But I like that change. I think it's cool. Honestly, Aquaman in the comics, mixed feelings. Wasn't always a big fan. But Aquaman on the big screen, I'm enjoying everything when I see it. Oh, also the Chihu. Yes. I heard it. I
Yeah,
heard it
yeah.
and I loved it. Yes.
So
Yeah.
we got to bring that back too, because listeners, for those who don't know or are not familiar, that's a thing here. And I don't know if Jason Momoa brought that in or if the directors brought that in. My guess is Jason Momoa brought that in.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's because he's familiar enough with the culture here, but that's a thing here. If you
Yes.
go anywhere and there's cheering or there's hype, you're gonna get chihus.
Yes.
It's a thing.
Yes. You know, if I say I was the director and I was like, all right, Jason, I need you to jump out of this plane and you're going to say Geronimo, you know, I can see him or even someone else saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Is Aquaman going to say Geronimo? And then they had a little brainstorming session. I know what he's going to say. Then you just have gold. It's all awesome from there.
I wonder if anyone else has that. I don't know. Someone contact me on social media and let me know if other places in the world do that as much. I'm just used to hearing it all the time. So what I'm getting to is if he chooses to be like, no, fuck Geronimo, we're gonna Chihu this bitch, right?
Right.
And the director may or may not be familiar with that and be like, wait, what? Like,
right.
Because they have to be conscious, not just because the actor says, yeah, I think this is good, but they have to be conscious of things like, does this fit the movie? Is this going to reach audiences? You know, are people going to understand this? So I wonder if that was a completely conscious decision or they really just did like, all right, Jason, do whatever the fuck you want.
See, now that's an interesting point too. My theory is okay, so in movies, not all movies, but in a lot of movies, they'll do that thing where it's like, we're going to shoot 3 versions of this scene and we're going to see who likes what.
Screen testing. Yep.
Yeah. Screen testing. Yeah. And I imagine, like, if I was in the theater, I'd be like, yes, that's awesome, you know? And then I'm sure they would be watching the audience and I would be one of those guys saying, I want that in the movie. That was badass. So that's my only assumption. I say that because, so there's a girl who sings. I'm going to not say who it is. You can figure it out possibly by what I'm about to say. She went on a show where there was voting. And then one of the judges is a not so nice guy. And he says to her, you know, you're not so good at this, but the audience keeps voting you back. So you better thank everyone in Hawaii. And I was like, okay, first of all, he's a jerk. But second of all,
he's probably fucking right.
But I remember thinking, oh, you know, like that's a very direct, correct way of saying Hawaii votes for stuff, you know? If there was, cause like, okay, so I never see these surveys, man, but if I did, I would absolutely vote, you know, 10 out of 10 for like a Chihu out of an airplane. That'd be badass. And if those things ever came here, I can see people voting for that. I'd be like, yes, good energy, fun. You know, like if I remember correctly in that scene, he's having fun jumping out. You know, it's not a regretting kind of a jumping out of an airplane.
I'm going to go on a limb and say that shit doesn't come here, but
I feel like it doesn't. Okay. Anyway.
But that being said, it's interesting to hear you kind of go down that limb because of all the things to screen test an audience on, the Chihu, really?
Okay, hold on now.
No, I'm not knocking on you. I'm just saying that it's not likely that would be a variable you change.
Ooh, well, okay. So I imagine if I was shooting that, I'd be like, all right, I want you to jump out. Just say Geronimo. All right, just do it for me, please. And he does it. Okay, so let's film your version, that thing, the Chihu, whatever. I don't know what that is. Okay, so let's shoot a third thing. And then in creation wise, it doesn't seem that difficult. But then again, I've never had a celebrity doing my motions on screen. Now the reason why I say all that is if you don't know what Chihu is, that could be anything. That could be go F yourself or something. You know, like who knows what that is. I would want to check that and I would want to test that just in case. If I was a director and I didn't know jack about it, I'd be like, let me email some people, just make sure that it's what I think it is. You know, like if I ask my friend, oh dude, I see Japanese tourists all the time. I live in Hawaii. How do you say, have a nice day? How do you say that in Japanese? And whatever he teaches me, I don't know if it's true. I'm going to walk around telling people that to their face, right? Like I would want to check just in case that my friend's not being a little silly. So, okay. running long on that.
You're
I'll
saying
let
your
it be.
jackass friend
Okay.
would give you some kind of like
Yes, I would.
go fuck yourself type
Yeah.
line in that case. Like they'd be telling you, yeah,
Oh.
just tell everyone this, and you're actually like insulting their mom or something like that instead of like have a nice day.
Well, I mean, it could also be my favorite Pokemon is Goku, and all you
Mm,
would get is people being like, "Dude, what are you saying?" So anyway,
interesting.
um, yeah, okay. I wanted to say something else. Um, I feel like whenever okay, so right now, to my knowledge, there is filming going on in Hawaii, and and I love that. You know, I know it screws up our traffic, and I know it can be problematic, but you know what, man? I say let it be. I think it's great. I love it when local boys are doing their thing. And granted, you know, maybe he grew up somewhere else for the past decade or whatever, but he was local at one point.
No. We
So
stake our
I
claim to
love that.
Jason Momoa.
You know, yes, we do.
We do,
Yeah,
we
we really
do.
do. Yes, we really do.
I'd rather
And,
claim Jason Momoa. This is controversial, I know, but I'll claim
Okay.
Jason Momoa before I claim The Rock. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, well, okay. So one, I love The Rock.
I love The
Two-
Rock too. I'm
Yes.
just saying that The Rock's not from Hawaii. Let's be real.
Ah, touchy. See, I don't know his background, but to my knowledge, he went to the high school in Hawaii that people know him as. You know, like there's teachers there apparently who'll say, "I remember him. I taught him." That to me counts. He went to school here. You know, he was living here. But I mean, okay, fair enough. There's a lot. Okay, hold up. Listeners out there, who is quote unquote more of Hawaii, right? Like, go ahead, vote it down. I'm curious. To me, they both count. You know, they both count.
No. I think they both can count, but in different ways. But again, that's just my opinion. If I had to say one or the other, I would say Jason Momoa. I can see the arguments for either.
okay.
And I'm not saying The Rock
Hmm.
doesn't count. He does, but it's a different way.
Okay, I have a friend, and I know what she would say. She would say, "Okay, who's dating a local girl?" Boom, right? If I remember correctly, The Rock is. I don't remember who's dating whom.
That
I
doesn't
don't have that
fucking
kind of stuff.
matter.
No, some people, yes, some people look at it that way, man. Some people, I know some people who totally look at it that way. So hey,
Oh boy.
anyway, you know what? I heard on the news a while back, and it was like national news. I don't know what they were talking about or why they were talking about it, but I remember the reporter saying, "Oh, you know what's really good? Spam musubis." And I'm like, "The fuck is a musubi?" You know? And I'm like, "Okay, I know they're saying musubi, but man, that is so not how he pronounced it. You know, just stick out like a sore thumb moment." So that, like, I've been there. I don't apply that to most people. None of this stings me like that, thankfully. You know, I just enjoy.
So I'm gonna segue on that argument just a little bit.
Okay.
In that, I guess The Rock is part Samoan, right? Like I think he is.
I don't remember that.
I forget, but anyway, Jason Momoa
Right,
is definitely
yeah.
Hawaiian.
Okay, cool.
Like 100% that he is definitely part Native Hawaiian.
Cool.
So
See, okay.
that's got to count for something.
Yes, it does. It does. I'll be honest here, and this is just me being race blind in general. For me, it's like, who do I think I could chill with, like at a dinner kind of stuff. They both seem like friendly dudes who would just be chill and fun. You know, I'm sure the crowds would be going nuts, but like I could see that. I could see myself having a drink with him or something. So for me, it's like, yeah, brothers, let's go. You know, it's cool. I'm not related to either of them, but yeah, it's like brothers. That's cool, man.
I mean, I could have a drink
So-
with either of them. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you had to say one is from Hawaii and one is less likely to be considered to be from Hawaii, because we do that here. Oh shit!
True.
So that's
That's
another
true.
thing we do, right?
That's
We
true.
lay claim to anyone with ties to Hawaii, and we grab onto them. But then we're also super like prejudiced about it too. Like, oh, he's not from Hawaii. I just did it, in fact, in the last minute, right? One is more from Hawaii than the
Well-
other, but like, does it really fucking matter? Maybe not.
See, for me, it's the welcoming thing, you know? In Hawaii, the Caucasian looking people, you know, however you want to use terminology on that, they would be the minority here, even though that's the majority elsewhere on the mainland. But for me, it's like, fuck it, it's cool. You know, we all live here. We'll be cool. Live together, work together, all that good stuff.
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
But it's just
yeah.
funny how we kind of use that cultural influence that we have because of the melting pot here, in that we're so distinct with our cultural stereotypes and how we segregate things in that. Once again, that comparison I just made, Jason Momoa is native Hawaiian, so he has stronger ties here. But does he really? Maybe, maybe not. Right?
Hmm.
The Rock, he went to high school here. He supposedly, I think, graduated from high school here. Does he have stronger ties? Maybe, maybe not. Right? But we still lay claim to them both. And if you really think about it, these guys that have these great successes, we still like to celebrate in their great successes as if they're part of our team, our family here.
Okay. I'll ask you this. So I like the New York Giants. People have asked me why. I'm gonna not get into that right now. I just like them. I think they're cool. Whatever. Anyway, but I do cheer for other things, and a great example of that is Marcus Mariota can go anywhere, and I will cheer for him anywhere. And at that point, I'm thinking to myself, well, that's weird, right? Isn't he against my team because he's not playing for the Giants? But for me, it's like, you know what? I like cheering for the local boy, man. I want him to do well. Like I want Aquaman to make a whole shit ton of money. Obviously for DC because they're connected to DC, but also for Jason Momoa, So for me, it's just like, I want to cheer for him and it's fun. So I will. It's just good vibes,
Segue to that a little bit, but did you know that across the nation, you know how on Sunday the NFL is playing games?
Okay.
And in general, NBC, CBS, or Fox, whatever time slot the game's at, they will normally broadcast whichever game is local to that area. In general, like across the United States, that's just in general. Like, so like if you're in New York, they're gonna broadcast a Giants game or whatever, local NBC, CBS, or Fox that they're playing on all the time. Unless the stadium's not sold out, there's rules on that, blackouts and stuff like that. Now, for listeners out there that aren't in Hawaii, I will tell you that every Sunday, Tennessee Titans, Marcus Mariota is always one of the games broadcast here. They are across the world from us. It would take us 14 hours to fly there almost, but the Tennessee Titans are always broadcast on Sunday here, all the time. There's no question, always.
Man, you're exaggerating. The other day, I just walked over to Tennessee, bought a burger. It's cool. I walked back. Like, it's right next door, man. Tennessee is right next to us, man.
Well, it's just crazy to think about that, the local stations that they pick games, and they pick it because of Marcus. I'm telling you, if you come to Hawaii, anybody out there, I dare you to come to Hawaii over a weekend during the NFL and turn on the TV on Sunday. And no matter if the Patriots are playing at the same time, or in this case, this year, the Chiefs or the Rams, like really good teams are playing at the same time. No, you're going to get a Titans game, period. All the time. It's just what we do here. It's crazy to think that the ties are that strong.
Part of me wonders, like, okay, so as a viewer, I'm like, yeah, man, let's do some Marcus Mariota games. I'm down. But part of me wonders, like, as the station manager or whatever, I wonder if they say, bro, that Alvin guy, he's not going to watch this other game. Let's just put the Tennessee Titans on. Like, I do wonder that. Because I'm not even going to pretend if Marcus Mariota changes teams, I'm watching whatever the new team is. I'm not even going to pretend.
This is going to be an interesting social experiment. At some point, his contract's going to run out. At some point, they're going to change. And I'm willing to bet, for real, on Sunday, that's who's going to be on.
The new
now,
team.
What's going to be even more interesting is in 1 year, or in 2 years from now, when Tua goes to an NFL team, which he most likely will. How are they going to make that decision? They're going to play the Titans, or they're going to play Tua's team. For those that don't know, Tua Tagovailoa is the quarterback for University of Alabama, also famously from Hawaii. He was a Heisman candidate this year, and it's going to be big at some point, more than likely in the NFL, I think. So if he goes to a team opposing Marcus, or not that Marcus is on, then what is the station going to do here? I don't know.
Interesting. I mean, that's a valid point. Who knows? Real quick, I would like to apologize. I'm not even going to flex on Chris because I can't say it right either. Tua's last name, not that easy to say. I want to say Taigo Vailoa or Tango Vailoa.
I might have mispronounced it. I'm sorry. I don't have it written in front of me. In fact, chum the time for a second.
Oh, I got you. Okay, no problem. So it's interesting because when I I'm forgetting his name. I don't want to describe him the way I know him. Okay, the guy with the girlfriend that didn't exist. He made it to the NFL. He's on the Saints.
Oh,
I'm blanking on his name. Teo.
Manti Teo.
Yes. Okay. So the frustrating thing was I knew he was going to make it to the NFL. I knew Teo was going to be in there. So I'm like, let's do it. I'm ready for this. And then I think he got injured. And I'm like, man, this sucks. So it went from super hype to, yeah, whatever. And I can only imagine that the same thing will happen for the Titans. Now, I can't speak on behalf of everyone who lives here, but I know for me, it's a Marcus thing. You know, I want to see him. By the way, it's not just, okay, so here's a big part. This applies to fighting games as well as other sports. If Marcus Mariota was not from here, but I saw his interviews, I'd be like, I want that guy to win. I don't care how it goes. I'm going to cheer for him. In his interviews, he is like shockingly mature. He's well spoken. I remember there was a guy, I can't name him. I don't remember his name, but like if you don't go to the press conference afterwards, they get mad at you. So they told him, stop skipping those things. You come to these. And he says, fine, I'll be there. So the reporter will ask him some kind of question and he'd say, I'm only here so I don't get fined.
Oh, Marshawn Lynch.
And then, was it Lynch? Okay, Lynch. Yeah. And then another question, same thing. I'm only here so I don't get fined. I'm like, come on, man. You're already sitting there, but clearly he was being stubborn about it. Marcus Mariota, totally not. Well-spoken, nice guy. Love him. I see him on commercials too. He's on commercials for like the bank and stuff. I just enjoy seeing him. He just seems like a good guy. I think there was a thing on the news where I was like, yo, come down and we will get you autographs by him or something like that. So it was like from X to Y amount of time. But of course, the line is ridiculous. So Marcus does not leave at Y o'clock. He stays until Z o'clock. And he just kept signing because he's a cool dude, Like a lot of high name people will be like, nah, man, I'm done with this. I agreed to 3 hours. I'm out. But no, he stayed and he kept signing because he knew people want to see him. Little kids too. It's like, man, I love this guy, and of course, he's also from Hawaii. Yes, I want to cheer for him. Awesome stuff.
So in the meantime, thank you for there's a term for filling that time. I'll look it up too later, but it's Tua Tagovailoa is the correct pronunciation. But anyway, the point is, so Tua, Marcus, we have this pride here and it's very interesting. And I think it's because of the culture, Jason Momoa included, to where we just feel connected to these people. And we feel connected when they call back to things that we associate with, like Jason Momoa doing the haka on the red carpet. We understand it, we see it, and it's like, yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, I feel that. And it's very cool to be a part of that. I don't know if, at least within the United States, that is as prevalent as it is here. So it's a very unique thing.
No, man, I was going to say, great note to end on, this is, okay, I don't want to use the term golden age because I don't really know how to apply that properly, but it's a good time, Aquaman movie coming out, Tua doing very well. Marcus Mariota games. I love watching him, It's just like, man, it's just a good time. It's a good time.
Good time for things that we recognize are Hawaii stuff to be in what we'll call mainstream media. I agree.
Totally. Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for going down this cultural journey with us and kind of getting an insight to what it's like to grow up here and see people that you can relate to become idolized in what we'll call mainstream media. And having us discuss Jason Momoa, especially with Aquaman coming out, everyone go see it. We got to go fucking see it at some point.
Yes.
It'd be cool. Hopefully in a future episode, we can have a little bit of side commentary and refer back to the Aquaman movie that we watched. Thank you again for tuning in. If you like what you're hearing, you can check us out on all the popular podcast services, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, take your pick. If you want to see more of what we're doing, you can go to howsitnetwork.com. All of our new stuff is posted there. Make sure that you follow us on social media at How's It Network, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You always get up-to-date stuff there too.
And if you like that Alvin-y goodness, please visit alohaalvin.com. I really like how I speak, and if you enjoyed me today, I'm sure you'll enjoy the site.
If you want to hear more from me, I'm at How's It Chris on Twitter. I got some stuff up there now. Hopefully, we'll see. Maybe you'll be entertained or maybe you won't be. I like to just be random and shout some stuff out on Twitter. Thank you again for lending us your beautiful ears. And don't forget, it's not goodbye. We shall see you later.